8 habits successful people avoid like the plague. As humans, we can't have all good habits or bad habits. Usually, it is a mixture of the two, and sometimes we may have more of one than the other. Some habits, though, aren't just bad or negative. Some are downright harmful and get in the way of our success. Our success is a product of deliberate choices we make and good habits. Thankfully, habits are not set in stone, and if your habits never change, you already have one bad habit to avoid. Your time is very precious, so it is important to spend it on productive and uplifting things. We need to avoid things that don't add value to our life or lead us to success. We not only need to learn the good traits of those who have made it, but also avoid the negative things they avoid, since it can undermine all our positive efforts. This may be very difficult to do, but we can try to see what is working and what's not objectively. Successful people can look at themselves objectively and get rid of negative habits that may be harming their productivity and success. Before we get right into the video, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification so you will never miss any of our future videos. Now, let's get started. Number 1. Focusing on negative thoughts. Although no one is born with an inner critic, we all end up with one. Thank you, parents. Thank you, society. Could have done without that. Allowing your mind to ruminate on self-deprecating thoughts stops you from achieving anything in life. You lose confidence in yourself, and you'll cave in at the first sign of trouble. Successful people don't dwell on failure and beat themselves up over it. They instead find out what they could learn from it and draw motivation from the fact that they have overcome other things before. They also don't focus on all that could go wrong when they try something new. They maintain some optimism and reality and focus on what they can learn from it to improve. Similarly, we should not allow negative thoughts to hold us back or bring us down in our lives. Dwelling on negativity can also mean thinking about other criticisms excessively. There is a difference between constructive criticism and people who simply want to bring you down. You shouldn't waste precious time and mental energy on the thoughts and opinions of people who deliberately criticize you or bring you down. You could end up internalizing all of it, and your inner critic really doesn't need the help. Number 2. Perfectionism. There is nothing good about perfectionism. It can prevent you from starting something or trying new things out of fear. Success goes hand in hand with trials, failure, revisions, and so on. And this is something that successful people recognize. If you keep looking for little things to tweak to get the perfect result, you will waste a lot of time and accomplish nothing. Striving for progress instead allows you to learn valuable skills along the way and gives you something to show for all your time. Number 3. Putting their priorities last. We all have friends and people we hang out with, and they each have their priorities and goals, as do we. Hopefully you do have priorities, or you recognize what things are important to you. Putting other people's priorities first is a habit that successful people avoid. They understand that they live for themselves, and they need to say no when they don't have time. Of course, this doesn't mean that they never help others out with anything. Instead, it means they keep the focus on their priorities. We can also learn to be more assertive in our everyday lives and free up time to do what really matters. Instead of piling up a host of time-consuming commitments that don't help us achieve our true goals, we need to learn to say no and keep things simple and focused. Number 4. Playing the blame game. Not just blaming people, but blaming anything that is not you. Some things will undoubtedly be out of our control in this world, and learning to deal with them is the best option. Constantly whining about things won't change anything, and we may develop a victim mindset where we don't believe anything can be done about our troubles, so we won't even try to change anything. Thinking that things are always beyond our control is just making excuses, and that sort of victim mindset is the real problem. If you are overwhelmed by everything, just focus on what you can control, like your own behavior, and then try to see how you can deal with the things that are actually beyond your control, such as the past, without laying blame on anyone. Number 5. Leaving things up to chance. Having blurry goals or no real plans towards achieving one's goals is not a habit of successful people. Successful people set goals that are highly specific and measurable. They know exactly what they want, and how to get it. They start their mornings with a detailed plan that helps them keep focus and reminds them of what they hope to achieve. A well-thought-out plan saves you a lot of stress and prevents you from getting discouraged or lost. You can also keep track of all your accomplishments that way and see exactly what else needs to be done. Planning isn't just about writing a to-do list. It is all the things you do to prepare yourself for the next day as well. Keep tomorrow in mind as you go about your day. Don't allow it to catch you unawares. Number 6. Procrastinating. Starting the day off with the easiest tasks may not be as helpful as you might think. At the start of the day, you are probably more focused and clear-headed. Nothing would have happened to give you a chance to be stressed, nor would fatigue have had the opportunity to set in unless you pulled an all-nighter. Putting off the most important or challenging work for later is something successful people avoid for all the reasons mentioned above. Procrastination just makes you more stressed out, and you will still have to work in the end. Allowing things to distract you doesn't help either. So instead of pushing work aside for later, you should turn off your notifications and tackle your work head first. That will even free time for you in the day. Number 7. Resisting change. The world is always moving forward and progressing, with technological advances and new innovations are changing the world rapidly. Successful people don't live in the past. They keep learning and trying new ideas out. They don't stick to old ways when new, efficient methods are introduced. They rather use these new tools to keep up with the world and keep from becoming obsolete or irrelevant with time. Not being resistant to change doesn't mean adopting every passing trend either. It just means learning the new and using whatever works best, whether the new methods or the old. Number 8. Catastrophizing and the idea of ruined days. Catastrophizing is a cognitive distortion, which means it is a negative thought pattern that is not real. It is blown out of proportion and is irrational. This thought process is habitual and paints everything as worse than they indeed are or ever will be. Imagine you wake up early, but then you can't find a document that you will need later in the day, so you spend an hour searching for it and end up being late. Does that mean your day is ruined? If yes, then you are catastrophizing. Your day is not actually ruined, but thinking that it is ruined beyond all repair will ruin it. We need to avoid that mindset if we genuinely want to succeed. If something goes wrong, we don't need to milk it out for the entire day, or we will end up not getting anything done that day. That is not productive, and you could still accomplish all that you need to do in the day despite being late or having one thing go wrong. Don't allow yourself to fall down the rabbit hole and lose all your motivation. Over time, it will have very negative and maybe irreversible consequences. This can be very difficult to do, but it is something so vital that we need to learn to do it. You can try asking yourself something like this. Is my day ruined because I was late to just one class? Does it need to be? Or am I really having a bad day, or I had a bad 5 minutes that I'm milking for the day? That brings the video to an end. Please give us a like if you enjoyed, and be sure to subscribe to our channel for more contents. Thank you.